Hello, fellow beings of light. While what we are about to embark on is only the second of our biweekly activations, I have a feeling that it is going to be my favorite of the year, if not ever. So much so that, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and share the full extended discussion and activation for free this week instead of recording additional pieces. It is, or it will be, that important, not only for me, but I think for all of us. Why do I feel that way? Because this week's podcast, it unlocked an important puzzle piece when it comes to one of my missions. A mission that I have been struggling with for months since I received it, trying to figure out what the heck it meant and how I was supposed to carry it out. I think I know now, and I think we are ready to take our first step together towards carrying out that mission. And in the process, help you boost what came through during this week's episode. Letting go of linear, straight line, outcome-based living and embracing the journey, the connection, and the expansion found within cyclical spiral living. How are the two connected? In addition to all of the straight lines we have been getting hung up on in our own individual lives, the nudges I received from our inner children during the episode uncovered the possibility of collective straight lines that have formed as well, or at least one, an outcome or outcomes that we have collectively gotten so hung up on that we are missing out on an important part of the journey. What our human experience is not only meant to achieve for us below, but for those above who initiated it. An important part of our connection to all, where we aren't just receiving from our connections above, but giving to them as well. An important part of the expansion goal, that it is about far more than our own expansion, our own ascension, our own remembrance and reawakening below, our own return to above, all of us, but about the intention that us doing all of these things would result in the expansion of those above as well. This is the point where I start questioning whether what I'm saying, whether what is coming through is making sense or not. So let's take a few steps back before we continue with taking the next step forward. Back in September, I stumbled upon another channel on YouTube that I resonated with. JJ Brighton of Activations with JJ. I highly recommend checking her channel and her offerings and her community out if you haven't already. All are amazing. Through her, I was introduced to the concept of planetary grid work for the first time. And while listening to her go over the different types and roles one day, I received something that didn't quite fit into any of them, that went beyond our planet, or felt like it did. gridding the channels. The channels that communication and energy between above, below, and across travel through. That calls to missions and more from source travel through. The channels that soul aspects travel through as part of the initial incarnation, reincarnation, and ascension processes. The initial call to this that I received when I asked my team how I was meant to do that was to aid in maintenance, in strengthening and facilitating when it came to the former, and to aid in support, in assisting, witnessing, and protecting when it came to the latter. I am a spirit channel in addition to an energy channel. I can communicate with souls between incarnations. So I was excited to take on something within my expanding wheelhouse that now includes galactic communication and light language as well. Not to mention getting to explore something that felt new and unknown. That's not what happened, though. I had a name for it, a basic description, and two additional things: a visual and a separate call to close the circle, all given to me by my team. But beyond that, I have spent the last few months being stuck and unsure how to move forward. Getting stuck, that stagnation, it was my own doing because, as you can probably guess, I allowed myself to get hung up on a straight line, a false one at that, it would seem, which was keeping me from seeing the spiral, the expansion, the coming together of this channel gridding mission through everything I have been receiving for the podcast, for activations, for our courses, and more. And it was the visual that got me. A whirlwind of air and a whirlpool of water converging at a middle point. Only that whirlwind was upside down, making the larger ends of both meet, instead of being large end down to small end, as they would be in nature here on Earth. It was odd, and because I wasn't receiving anything more from my team at the time, I let my human mind take over. I knew that what I was seeing was a channel, and I knew I was being called to close the circle when it came to it. And from those things, I wrongly assumed that what I was being shown was the present condition of the channels. That the connection between above and below was stretched out at the convergence point because of prolonged separation, maybe, and it needed to be brought back in line. Hence, the circle closed. And that was the goal I focused on, the outcome I got hung up on. And it has led to nothing but frustration and a whole lot of nothing in terms of working on and towards the mission I've been given. Because the mission, as I was seeing and defining it, wasn't the mission at all. And I haven't questioned once if that was the case, if I was wrong, until this week, until our inner children essentially spelled it out for me in nudges that I felt we're going kind of off course in this week's podcast episode. Huh. Oh boy. They are showing me a visual right now of a Channel Gridding for Dummies book. Gotta love those inner children. I am going to go ahead and share those portions of the episode again here. It's important for showing not only where puzzle pieces began to click for me, but for showing where it was leading, very intentionally, I might add. The first, which is a bit long, so bear with me here. The most relevant example of cycles to the work that myself and many are doing would be expansion and ascension. There are levels, dimensions that we work through and up, that we expand and ascend through. For me, I see these as spirals. They start out narrow at their center point, and as we do the work, they expand, rise, and eventually shift into the next level where we do it all over again, and so on, infinitely. I can sense some asking, but isn't there a start and end point? We start at the bottom and reach the top. That is true for our human existence, or rather experience. We do have a starting point at the bottom and have to work our way back up the infinite spirals or cycles. But what this fails to take into account is that before we incarnated into our human existence, we did the same in reverse. Our light bodies started at the infinite expanded and ascended point and spiraled, cycled down to forgetting so that we could restart and expand even further than they ever could through our human experience. No start or end point, just infinite spiraling down to limited, to a reset, then spiraling back up to infinite again. The second, now that we kind of have a good idea of the difference between linear and cyclical living, the difference between what we need to let go of, what we have been resetting over the last 6 weeks, and what we need to be reconnecting with, because it is what has always been. We have just lost our remembrance of it, gotten out of alignment with it. It's not new. It's just the same spiral working back upwards. The third, once you begin to do so consistently, your outer world will expand and ascend with you. It will begin to match your new levels or dimensions of awareness, of consciousness. Did you catch any of it? What I described in the first 2 clips, while containing the same components as the visual I received for my mission, they didn't match it. Instead, they implied that the whirlwind I saw was our light bodies starting out at the expanded point at the top and spiraling, circling down as soul aspects to a point of forgetting, ending at the narrow point at the bottom, at or maybe even below the convergence point. And then they implied that the whirlpool I saw was our soul aspects, starting out at the narrow point at the bottom, here on Earth, circling back up that same exact spiral to the convergence point where ascension would occur, returning us to our light body. This description of above to below and below to above, overlapping, matching, kind of like funnels sitting inside of each other, is the true present state of the channels, and a functioning state at that, but not what the visual I received showed me, and not what was originally intended when the Earth experiment, our human experience, was started. Not from what I received regarding it, anyway. Why was the whirlwind in my visual upside down? What was meant by closing the circle then? Go back to that third clip from the episode. Your outer world will expand and ascend with you. It will begin to match your new levels or dimensions of awareness, of consciousness. Very specific language was used by me there. Words that I probably wouldn't have used, wouldn't have seen as being necessary if I was referring solely to manifestation, outer and new. It was clear to me after recording and listening back that something else was meant by it. We have actually gotten into it in depth in the first level of our awareness upgrade course back in November, and I've actually mentioned it more times than I can count in other content since. Our purpose for being placed as separated soul aspects here on Earth in physical bodies that have little to no remembrance of who and what we are is for us to have the human experience, to experience contrast, to be able to know and appreciate everything in between the pure light and love that is all that our light bodies know, and their opposites, so that we can share it with our light bodies, with all of those above, so that they can expand, so that we all can know, all can appreciate, and more importantly, all can create in shades of everything in between moving forward. Now, I'm not going to get into that more here, even though I kind of want to, because it is enough to get across what I need to. The part of our journey, our connection to all, and our expansion that I indicated was missing earlier. The part of my mission that was missing until now, that gets us from that present state of the channels I just described, funnels that would fit inside of each other, to the visual I was shown when I was given the mission of gridding the channels, funnels connected at their large ends. We are not here on Earth below just to have the human experience for ourselves, just to remember who and what we are, to expand and ascend back into our light bodies above. That is not all there is to it. We are here on Earth below to have the human experience for the benefit of all who are below and above. to remember who and what we are so that we can reconnect with those above and share that experience with them so that they can expand with us. And then to ascend, return back to our light bodies and begin co-creating with the new knowledge and experiences we have shared and brought. The effect of that shift, the bottom of the funnel from above, filling with that new knowledge and experience shared, expanding at the convergence point until it matches the top of the funnel from below, closing the circle, bringing above and below back to one. Not just in a functioning way where the below funnel lifts to the above funnel's level and all is the same, but in a way that expands both and meets in the middle. Does that make sense? I hope that it does, and I hope that you caught on to the fact that I clearly could have gotten to this point in my understanding when it comes to my mission of gridding the channels a whole lot sooner if I hadn't been hung up on the straight line that flowed from my own thoughts and assumptions, from my impatience. If I had instead let go, gone with the flow and momentum of the cycle of unfolding, and allowed what I needed to know come to me, I would have gotten there sooner. Or maybe I wouldn't have, since I'm getting that it was meant to happen in the here and now. But still, it's sort of the, let's call it the moral of this discussion, tying back into our podcast topic for this week, showing you how important embracing cyclical spiral living is to your journey, to your purpose, to all of our missions, and showing you just how harmful and how far off course getting hung up on linear, straight line living can be and can get us. Now, with all of that said, let's get into our activation for this week. I think it's time, and for the dual purpose that it will serve, helping you to not only be open to embracing the cycles of life, the journey, the connection, and the expansion that occurs within them, but to be more open to sharing all of these things with those from above, those that have sent us here, those who are waiting on us to be able to expand as well. If you are open to receiving this activation and the integration and grounding that will follow, simply say yes, either out loud or within your mind. Good. I invite you to sit or lie down in a comfortable position with your eyes closed and your palms facing upward, either on your lap or at your sides. And as I drop in and connect with your energy field, wherever you are and whenever you might be listening, I want you to begin a pace of breathing slowly and deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth, letting go of any thoughts or feelings that might be swirling around or through you in the current moment. Now, I want us to take 3 slow and deep breaths together. And with each inhale, I want you to think or say, focusing on opening to the cycles of life. And with each exhale, I want you to think or say, focusing on sharing with those above. Focusing on opening to the cycles of life. Focusing on sharing with those above. Focusing on opening to the cycles of life. Focusing on sharing with those above. Focusing on opening to the cycles of life. Focusing on sharing with those above. I call forth any and all members of my team, as well as yours, who wish to join us in this meditation and activation for our highest good and healing. We seek to activate, integrate, and ground in the lessons that have been shared here today and this week. Aid in embracing the cycles of life and allowing them to expand further. Aid in sharing all that occurs within them with those above so that they might expand too. The member of my team who is coming forward most is Kuan Yin. She is known to me as the Void Mother, a being who stands at the convergence point between above and below, who will aid me and all of us in the mission of gridding the channels, sharing and expanding the one from above to meet the one expanding from below. I will go ahead and step back now and allow her to lead us through the activation, integration, and grounding process. Arishumokrish karakabhorsh karakadiska, alashunamakates karaorsh karapakadiska, arashkanamush karakades kalawakadukush karakadis karakadi, arashunamakates kalabokush karakadis kakati katikiti, ariskadakadis kalakadi, skalakadi, arushkanamakateska. Arushanamakateiski, Arishkurush Katakates Katakates Katakurush Katakati, Arashunamakatis Kalakaush Katakapakati, Arapakatis Katapakatush Katakapakatis Katapakati, Arishunmosh Katakaramash Katamakashish Katakati, Arushkanamakates Katakatis Katamakatis Kalakarush Katakatis Kalakatis Kalakati, Rush Katakatis Kalakatis Kalaush Katakati, Arashunamakalakati, Arush Katapakatis Katamakatis Ka, Aroshkanamakatis Kalapakush Katakati, Arashunamakatis Kalapakush Kadamakate, Arish Kadamakatis Kadakatis Kadawush Kadakati, Arash Kadabakatis Kalamakutis Kadakatis Ka, Arishunamakatis Ka, Arashunamakadis, Kadapakoshkadakadi, Adishkadamakadis, Kanamos, Kadamakade, Arashushkadakarushkaditi, Rushkadapakadis, Kadakadi, Arashuramakadis, Kalakade, Arushunamakades, Kuruskadakadi, Araskunamakadurskadapakadis, Kalakadu, Arashush kadakates kadakachush kadakateska Arasu marakatis kalakatis kalakatis kalakati Arashuramacates kala Arash kadakatis kadawurs kadapakatis kalakata Arashuramacates kalamakatis kalama Arashuna makararas kadapakbalus kadapakadis kadakadi Arash kadakadis kadakadi Arush kadapakadis kalapapurus kadakadis kadakadis kadakadi Arashunana Anish kanamangarish kanakanina Arush kadapakadis kadapushka Arish kanamakadis kala Alasu Nana magris kada pakush kada kati Aru shkara makati skala Arashu nama kada garas kada kati Arush kada kati skada pakush kada kati skamo kati skada pakush kada kati kada kati Arash rakade skada makati skala kada kushka Arish kamukash kadakadis kalawlos kadakos kadakadis ka Ana surabakadis kadapukus kadakade Arash kudamakadis kamakadus kadakade Arish unamakadis kadakadu Arash unamakadis ka Arish kanamakadis kadakos kadakadi Arish kanamakadush kadakades kadakbakush kadakade Arish kamakush kadakades kadarush kadakbakade Arish kamakades kadawush kadakbakades kadakades kadakade Arash kunamakades kadakush kadakades 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 ka Arush kanamakades kadakabush kadakade Arash kamokatis kalakadis kalawush kadakadis kalakadi katris kadakush kadakade Arish kamakush kadakadis kadakadi Arash kamokadis kalamakates kalakade Arush kanamakadis kadakabush kadakadikris kadakpukush kadakade Arish kanamakadis kalakade Arish kamokush kadakabush kadakadis kadakadis kalakadis Kalakadish, kalakadish, karus, kalakadi, arasun makadis, kalakapukush, kalakade, arashula, 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 arish kalmokadish, kalabakadish, kalakadis, kalakade, arasudakadis, kalmokadis, kalakadis, arashuna makades, kalakadi, Aruska, Arishka Kadis, Katakadors, Katakadis, Katakadi, Arashkun Mush Katakadis, Katakurs, Katakadi, Arasuma Kadis, Katakurus, Kati, Aris, Kanamakadis, Aris Kumakadis, Kalakadi, Arashunamakadis, Kanamush, Katakalparkadis, Katakagus, Katakadi. Aris kamakurush kadapakatis kalakatus kadakati kalakatus kadamakatis ka Arush kadamakatis kamakurush kadakati Arush kadamakatis kadakatis kurush kadakatis kalorokte Arupate kadaras kadabakurush kadabakatis kadabakurush kadakatis ka Arashunamakatis ka Arush kadakati Arush kadakadiska, arash konmakadira, arush namakati, arash namakadiska, arush kanamakadiska, rabakadiska, kadakate, Oroshanenamadiskanamokanishkanamonubushkanakati. Arishkamunkadishkanamonkadiskulakadiska. Arushkanamakadiskarakbushkadakadiskarakati. Karakati, 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 urushkadakadiska. Ariskanamakadiska. Araskomakadiska. Aruskadakadiska. Ariskalakadiska. Amuskadaborskadakadabarakadariskadaborskadakadisa. Arishramakadiskalakadiskalakadi. Slakadi. Arishunmakadiska. The activation is complete. Arishunmakadis kadakboras kadakadis karmarkadis kadakoras kadakadi. Let go of your fascination with outcomes and expectations. That which leads, more often than not, to disappointment and suffering. Karush kadakadis kalabokoras kadakadi. Arashula. Arish murish kadabokoris kadabokoris kadakadis kalabokoras kadakadis. Be open to the flow that moves all forward, the in-between, the space and time where you experience living, experience thoughts and emotions, experience expansion. Arashkamosh kadakadis, kadabukars kadabakadis, kaboturs kadakade, ariskan mokurish kadabukurs kadakade, karash kadakade, kadikadi karosh karamakadis, kadakabukurs kadakade, arush kadamakadis, kadabukadoosh kadakade. It is within this flow that you will find true happiness, gratitude, and fulfillment. That you will find the light and love that you have always been and always will be. That you will find your highest self and ascend. Reconnect with your light body. Arish morish kadakadis kapukuris kadakpakadis kadakpakadikush kadakadis kadakpakadi. Arish kamukarish kadapakarosh kadakadis kadakadis kalapukuris kadakapukuris kadakpakadis kadakadi. Arish kamukadis kadapakurish kadakapakadis kadapakarosh kadakadi. Arish kamush kadakpakadis kadapakush kadakadi. Be open to sharing all that you have and are experiencing within that flow during your time on earth. All that you incarnated into a physical body upon it to experience. Not just with those among you, but with those above you who sent you here for that purpose, so that they could expand and create, so that Source could expand and create beyond the bounds of pure light and love. Arishumakariska Bukariska Arushkana Makate Salamakariska Bukariska Bokoshka Kati Arishka Makatish Koshka Bakatis Kalabakate Arushkana Makatis Kalabushka Kati Arashuma. Myself, Jessa, and those of you who wish to join in the mission of facilitating and supporting the expansion of the upper channel to meet the lower, the sharing of all of your collective human experiences and knowledge with those above. We will hold space at the convergence point for all to be able to do so. Arish kumakadis kabukuris kadapakati, arashumunakadis kadapakuris kadapakati, arashush kadamakadis kadapakatis kadapakutush kadapakati. Space for all below to be able to give, and for all above to be able to receive. Just as myself and many have long held space there for those below to be able to receive what those above have to give. Arish kamakadis kalapukurs kadakatis kalakapukurs kadakatis kalakapukurs kadakati, arashudamakadis kalapukurs kadapakati, arish kamakati, ashumakati, arish kamakotis kalapukurs kadapakati, arashunamakadis kalapukurs kadapukurs kadakatis. For the time to hold space for both has come. Those below are remembering and expanding at growing rates and in growing numbers. They are ready. You are ready to add to your mission, to expand into the mission that was meant to be yours from the start. She is complete. I am going to be silent now, allowing the music to continue for, let's say, about 5 minutes, and set an intention that everything that has come through continue to integrate and ground in. Not only that, I am going to hold space, open the channels between above and below further, for you to share anything that you might wish to share with those above during the silence. And as all of that is happening, I want you to continue breathing slowly and deeply. In through your nose, out through your mouth. When you feel ready, you can go ahead and begin coming back to your surroundings, wiggling your fingers and toes, and finally opening your eyes. Good. Thank you for joining us for this activation. And I hope for our podcast from earlier in the week on reconnecting with cycles, you can catch it here on YouTube through our channel if you haven't yet. And you can also catch our awareness upgrade course that I mentioned earlier through our website. I will go ahead and leave a link for that in the description. And because our inner children insisted on a discount code for it during the podcast, I'm going to go ahead and offer it again here for you as well. Just use code INNERCHILD, all one word, to get the course for 50% off. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm kind of looking forward to this new part of my journey and this new type of, maybe not new, maybe different type of gritting and of, contributing to the collective, not just below, but above, and working with that. I'm looking forward to it. Arish